When night falls, truths turn into whispers, and sometimes the scariest stories hide in silence. Welcome to Joseph City. In 1997, five close friends, Jake, Emily, Sarah, Matt, and Brian, decide to make the most of their college summer break by planning a camping trip in the remote woods of Maine. Their destination is an abandoned campsite, barely marked on any map. Known locally as the Old Fisherman's Camp, no one seems to know exactly why it was deserted. Looking for an escape from city life, the group figures the still lake and dense pine forest make it the perfect spot for an adventure. They arrive on a Friday evening. The air is cool and the lake's surface is as smooth as glass. They set up their tents, build a campfire, and crack open some beers, laughing and joking as the night begins. Everything feels normal. The stars are bright, the fire crackles soothingly, until the clock ticks past midnight. Emily is the first to notice. "Do you guys hear something coming from those bushes?" she asks, lowering her marshmallow stick. Everyone pauses, listening closely. There's no wind, but a faint murmur rises from the underbrush. It sounds human, yet the words are indecipherable. Jake chuckles, maybe it's a squirrel, and shines his flashlight toward the sound. The beam dances through the branches, but there's nothing there. Still, the whispers don't stop. They seem to shift, circling the campfire like an unseen presence. Sarah mutters uneasily, "This isn't normal." Suddenly, Matt stands up. His eyes are half closed, his movements stiff and strange, like a sleepwalker with an eerie calm on his face. Without a word, he starts walking toward the lake's edge. "Matt, what are you doing?" Brian yells, but Matt doesn't even glance back. As he nears the black water, the whispers merge into something clear. "Come with me." The voice is deep, guttural, and menacing, as if it's rising from beneath the surface. Jake and Emily rush to him, grabbing his arms and pulling him back. Matt resists for a moment, then blinks awake, confused. What was I doing?" he mumbles. Just then, they all hear it. The whispers return, this time with a name. "Emily, come with me." Emily's face goes pale. "No one said my name, right?" she whispers, but no one can answer. They spend the night in their tents, sleepless and on edge. The whispers persist until dawn, sometimes distant, sometimes right outside the canvas. As the sun rises, Brian stumbles out of his tent and shouts, "Where's Matt?" Matt's sleeping bag is empty, his stuff untouched, but he's gone. They race to the lake's edge in a panic. In the wet mud, they find a single set of footprints, Matt's, leading straight to the water and stopping abruptly at the shore. It's as if something yanked him in. Emily swears she sees a shadow in the lake for a split second. Tall, thin, human-like, moving under the surface. She blinks and it's gone. Search teams arrive hours later. Divers scour the lake, but they find no body, no trace. As they pack up to leave, Jake takes one last look at the shore. The water ripples, though there's no breeze. After that night, the campsite is abandoned for good. Locals start saying the lake is cursed, warning against camping there. Over the years, a few brave souls who spend the night report hearing whispers after midnight. Some claim to have seen a silhouette in the water, a long gaunt figure creeping closer to the shore like it's waiting for someone. Matt is never found, but the lake earns a new name, Whispering Lake. Rumors swirl that Matt is still there, lurking beneath the surface, whispering names in the dead of night to call someone to join him. The most chilling tale: anyone who swims in that lake never comes back. In 2003, a fisherman swears he saw a hand get dragged under the water from the middle of the lake while he was in his boat. No one believes him, and he hasn't taken his boat out there since. Stories end, but darkness never fades. If you listen closely, you might hear a whisper. Three friends, Ethan, Marcus, and Lisa, set out for a hiking trip in Canada's wild Jasper National Park. Their plan is simple: a few days of camping to escape the grind of city life. They study their maps carefully and chart a route, but after hours of trekking, they veer off the trails without realizing it. By late afternoon, exhausted, they stumble into a clearing that isn't marked on any map. There's no sign of a path or human presence, just a flat, eerie patch amid towering pines. And right in the middle stands an old black tent, tattered, its flap open, with no trace of anyone camping nearby. The fabric is so dark, it seems to swallow the light. Ethan steps closer and peers inside, but his flashlight beam vanishes into the darkness. "It's empty," he says, though his voice wavers. Just then, a sound drifts from within, muffled, whisper-like breathing, rhythmic but somehow not quite human. Marcus backs away. That's not right. Lisa circles the tent and notices something odd. No human footprints, just faint wavy tracks in the dirt near the base, like something slithered past. Uneasy, they decide to set up their own camp away from the clearing as dusk falls. Night settles in, and the forest goes dead silent. Inside their tent, they feel watched. Shadows slip between the trees, though the branches don't rustle. Marcus mutters, "Something's out there." Suddenly, Lisa yelps, clutching her ankle. A sharp pain shoots through it. When they shine the light, her ankle is bruised purple, as if gripped by an invisible hand. At the same moment, Ethan feels a burn on his arm. Rolling up his sleeve, he finds bite marks, deep, bloodless, unnaturally neat. "What the hell did this?" he shouts, but the woods are empty. Past midnight, Marcus jolts awake to heavy guttural breathing right outside their tent, slow and menacing. Ethan grabs the flashlight and unzips the flap, scanning the clearing. The black tent is gone. The ground where it stood is pristine, like it never existed. "It wasn't there, right?" he asks, his voice shaky. Then Lisa screams, "There's something inside." Their tent's thin fabric stretches as a tall, gaunt shadow appears within, illuminated by the dim lantern. It's human-like but moves wrong, joints bending backward, swaying with an unnatural grace. It pauses, then leans toward Ethan. His bite marks flare with pain, and Lisa's bruise pulses like a heartbeat. "Run!" Ethan yells. They tear out of the tent, abandoning their gear, and sprint into the dark forest. The breathing follows, sometimes distant, sometimes right at their necks. Lisa stumbles. As Ethan pulls her up, he sees his bite marks deepen. By dawn, they find a trail, miles from their campsite. Lisa's ankle is swollen, the bruise now a strange pattern. Ethan's arm bears a black ring where the bites were. At the hospital, the doctors are baffled. "This doesn't match any animal," one says, studying Ethan's arm. "The teeth are too precise, not like anything we know." Lisa's bruise doesn't even show on X-rays. It's as if something alive moves beneath her skin. The doctors shrug helplessly. "We can't explain this." Back home, Marcus digs into Google. He finds a story from the 1980s. 3 campers vanished in Jasper National Park. They'd reported camping in an unmapped clearing and seeing a black tent before disappearing. Search teams found their gear weeks later, but no tent and no bodies. One had strange bite marks on their arm, another a bruise on their ankle, and the third was never traced. Locals whisper of a shadowless thing in those woods. It doesn't kill, but it marks you. Lisa checks her phone photos and freezes. The last image shows the inside of the black tent, but she never looked in, never took that shot. In the blurry frame, a pale, eyeless figure sits, its empty sockets stark against a slack mouth, head tilted, staring straight at the camera. Marcus whispers, "Is that it?" Ethan peels back his sleeve. The bite marks match the figure's jagged teeth. Lisa's bruise mirrors its bony hand. They can't sleep that night. Ethan's arm burns, Lisa's ankle throbs. The bruise pulses steadily. Marcus glances out the window and sees the black tent's silhouette in the distant trees. But by morning, it's gone. The old article mentions the lost camper's gear turning up with those marks, and a rumor that the third camper's still out there calling others back. Since then, Lisa hears it every night, a faint whisper from the dark. Come back. What really happened at that campsite years ago? No one knows. But some say if you listen closely, you can still hear the knocks. Would you stay the night? 4 friends, Kayan, Mert, Zeynep, and Elif, decide to camp in Turkey's Bolu region at Yedigöller National Park during the summer of 2008. The area is known for its natural beauty, but locals warn of an old tale. A scaly lizard-like creature lives in the lake. It swims in the water and hunts on land. They call it the lake's guardian and say, "Don't camp there, it'll take someone." The group laughs it off as village superstition, packing their gear and Kayan's dad's hunting rifle. They arrive at Yedigöller, where the lake's calm water and pine forest look peaceful. In this remote corner of Turkey, they set up their tents, start a fire, and settle in for the evening. Mert says, the water looks nice and wants to swim. The others warn, the locals said there's something in there. But Mert brushes it off with nonsense and wades in. Moments later, he scrambles out, shaken. Something hit my leg, cold and slimy. Khan shrugs. Probably a fish, but Mert's face says otherwise. Past midnight, Khan wakes to a hissing sound from the lake. Low guttural, not like the wind. He peeks out. Moonlight glints off the still water, but a long dark shape moves beneath the surface. "Wake up, check this out," he whispers. Zeynep grabs a flashlight, but when the beam hits the water, the shadow vanishes. Then Elif hears rustling near the tent. Swinging the light, she catches something darting through the bushes by the shore. Fast, scaly, but too quick to make out. "Wild animal?" she asks, though the sound doesn't match anything familiar. Morning comes, and they find tracks near where Mert swam. Long clawed marks sunk into the mud, like a big hand with scales. Khan says, doesn't look like a bear, but the prints don't fit any known animal. With no cell service, they can't call for help, but the rifle makes them feel safer. "We'll head back tomorrow," they agree. The next night, Mert insists, "Nothing happened yesterday," and goes for another swim. Suddenly, he screams, "It's got me!" The water churns as a scaly lizard-like creature breaks the surface. Half human, half reptile, with long arms, a hunched back, and green scales. It grabs Mert's leg, dragging him under as he thrashes. Khan, Zeynep, and Elif freeze. Seconds later, Mert's severed arm floats up, blood staining the water red. Elif yells, "It ate him!" They decide to run. As they pack, the creature crawls out of the lake, scales dripping, moving like a lizard toward them. Khan grabs the rifle, shouting, "Get back!" He fires once, missing, then hits its shoulder on the second shot. Dark green blood spurts out, and it hisses, retreating. The 3 ditch their gear and bolt into the forest, but the creature follows, slithering through the trees. Zeynep trips. As it lunges, Khan fires again, hitting its chest. More green blood spills onto the ground and it snarls, limping back to the lake and diving in. At dawn, they reach a village and call the police. Teams swarm Yedigöller. Divers search the lake. Rescue crews comb the woods. But all they find of Mert is his arm on the shore. Police spot green blood trails by the lake and in the forest, collecting samples from where the creature was shot. Lab results stun them. The blood matches no known animal. It's got traces of reptile and human DNA, but it's a distinct unknown species. The cops say, "We can't explain this," filing it as missing person and wildlife attack. After 2008, camping at Yedigöller is banned for years. Locals mutter, "We told you, you pissed off the lake's guardian." The creature Khan shot leaves only bloodstains. Nothing else turns up in the lake. One of Alef's photos shows a scaly hand holding Mert's arm above the water, but the police dismiss it as shaky evidence. Since that night, Khan can't shake the sound of gunfire. Zeynep still hears that hissing. The villagers warn it's not dead, it'll come back, and sometimes green blood spots appear along the shore. Some campsites are never meant to be visited. Some lakes hide more than just water. In Joseph City, the paranormal never ends. Like this video, subscribe, and join the darkness.